I'm Marcin, a Belfast-based architect working with older Northern Irish houses, the cold, damp and mould ones. If you live in 1920s to 1970s house and keep getting mold back in the same place, even after cleaning and repairing, this is for you. You know the pattern. You scrub the black patches off, maybe use a special cleaner, you repaint, it looks fine for a while, and then the stain slowly comes back in exactly the same spot. Most people treat that as a paint or product problem. In older houses, it's almost always a building problem. Mold on the surface is a symptom, not the root cause. Paint choice does matter, especially on older walls that need more vapor-open systems. But even the perfect breathable paint won't fix a cold, wet patch that is being driven by how the building fabric and moisture behaves. In the houses I see, recurring mold usually means some mix of three things in that location. A surface that is colder than the room, moisture in the air from everyday life, and air that doesn't move or escape properly. Typical places: external corners, window reveals, behind big wardrobes on outside walls, along the ceiling line near the eaves, or in rooms that are kept cooler than the rest of the house. When mold keeps choosing the same bit of wall, it's telling you that something about the fabric or the air path there is wrong. Not just that you picked the wrong tin of paint. Let me give you a simple example. Take a wardrobe pushed against the external wall. That piece of wall is colder than the rest of the room. The wardrobe blocks air from moving over it. Most air from cooking, showers, laundry and breathing finds the coldest surface and stays there. Cold surface, trapped air, moisture. That's all that mold needs. You can clean it and repaint it. You can even use a so-called anti-mold product. But if the wall is still cold and the air is still trapped, it will come back. The symptom is gone for a while, but the conditions are identical. The same pattern sits behind a lot of mystery patches, above windows or around ceiling lines. Different detail, same logic. A bit of fabric that is colder and stays damp for longer than the rest of the room. A lot of advice online says just open the windows more or just heat the house more. In this climate and with current energy prices, that's not always realistic. And you can't ventilate your way out of a badly detailed cold bridge, or heat your way out of a house that leaks everywhere. Where this really matters is when you start planning retrofit work. If you put internal wall insulation over a cold, damp patch without understanding why it is there, you can drive moisture into the wall. If you add external insulation but ignore the junctions at eaves and reveals, you can move the problem rather than solve it. If you tighten up the house without planning how fresh air comes in and stale moist air leaves, you can push a marginal situation over the edge. That's why on a first paid visit, I'm not there to sell paint or a magic product. I'm there to build a picture of what is likely driving the problem in the house, in your type of house, in the first place. And what that means for any future insulation, airtightness, or ventilation work. Sometimes that's enough to plan a safe way forward. Sometimes the simplest move is to pause and consider more detailed investigation before anybody starts gluing boards to the walls. What I do on a first visit is a visual, experience-based assessment, not a lab testing or computer modeling. The goal is to avoid obvious retrofit mistakes and to decide whether that house looks straightforward or whether it needs deeper investigation before major work. So if you keep painting the same mold spot in an older house, that is a message from a building. Mold appearing in the same spot, it's a message from the building. You need to understand it first and not just put a cosmetic treatment. If it's happening in your house, this is exactly the sort of issue I review during a visual experience-based first visit. The goal isn't to diagnose everything on the spot, but to understand the likely patterns and the safest retrofit options before anybody starts insulating or sealing things up. There's a link below where I explain how I work with clients. And if you want more straightforward talk on old NI houses, feel free to subscribe and stick around. Thank you.